Well, what's up, everybody? This is Zach with another episode here of KT Outdoors, and today we're going to talk about country gardeners' worst nightmare. Well, maybe not, there's a lot, but one of the things that gets us most often, especially early in the season, is wind. Let's talk about it. It's coming up next. Alright, so we're down here in the new garden space that I put between the two sheds this year. And, years ago when I started gardening out in the country, I didn't really understand the issues that wind could cause. And then I had a wonderful old gardener named Gert DeLong. Gert, if you see this, shout out to you, girl. She used to be one of the cooks at the school that I was working at the time. And we were talking about gardening, and she said that one of the things that you face in the country that most town gardeners aren't used to is the wind. And if you're in the right location in town, this could still be an issue too. So she taught me a few methods on how to deal with the wind, some of which are right back there. And I've come up with a few of my own that have worked well over the years. So I'm going to turn the camera around. I'm going to show you a couple examples of things that you can use. We'll explain the concepts briefly, and then I'll show you some of the consequences of the ones that we didn't get protected. So here we go. Okay, so here in this new bed I have some kale and some lettuces that were planted out after they were in this seed tray a little bit too long. But irregardless, one of the methods, and this was actually the one that old Gert taught me, was to use a number 10 soup can and just cut the bottom out of it. And what that does is it creates this little protected zone around the plant, and no wind can get in there and rip away at that thing. So this one that was protected, you could see most of his leaves, including the old ones, like these leaves down here, they still look great because this poor thing has been protected from the wind. Now his neighbors, literally same soil, same location, like right next door, you see the difference of not having the wind protection. These leaves got just a little bit more hammered, the whole plant's a little bit more limp. It might make it out of it, but in general terms, not quite as healthy as that one there. This one back here looks a little bit better, but you can see some of the issues. So putting something around your plant to protect it from the wind, not necessarily the cold, because this is a cold hardy plant, but the wind can just zap your seedlings when they're young and they've just been transplanted. So let me show you a couple other things that I've used over the years that are just as effective as this number 10 can. Okay, option number one is a clear-ish bucket, or I should say a tote, right? Like we've got a couple lettuce plants chilling out under there. Okay, this is creating like a little micro greenhouse type environment, but also more than anything protecting these plants from the wind. If it's a hot sunny day, something like this, I definitely have to come out and take it off, which is a bit of a pain, but it's certainly providing it the protection that we need. And this one has the added bonus of doing a little bit of frost protection as well, which we're going to put back because it's supposed to snow tonight. Okay, so in this section you're going to see some more of the same. You're going to see the same kind of damage on some of these plants. Like, look at these poor things. Right, like just beat to crud. Now they're going to be fine because there's new growth coming in here. So this plant will totally recover and kick out. So will this one. They just kind of look a little bit ragged from that wind blowing away at those tender leaves when they were transplanted. But these ones in the tin cans, protected from the wind, literally right next door, same exact wind exposure, very little damage to the leaves. Okay, and you see this over and over and over again. So here are another option that I had access to this year. These are tomato starting cages. So you fill this outside bladder with water if you're starting tomatoes early, but I just put them down because I needed something to protect the plants from the wind. And I put them here in the front of the bed in this line because the wind usually comes, this way from the west, flowing in here. So my thought was that these taller containers might get the wind swirling a little bit and offer some minor protection for these plants in the back, which for the kale, maybe it's helped some. The lettuce honestly does not look the greatest, but those are another option. And then the last option is one that you might not think of, and that's white buckets. So these are obviously proven winners, white potting buckets from some plant we bought years ago. I tend to keep that kind of stuff. And even here, again, notice that the ones on the downwind side of the buckets had a little bit more protection than these ones out here in this kind of channel that was created. So these ones got a little bit zapped, those ones not as much. The ones inside all of those collars though look outstanding. Okay, so you would think that putting a bucket over top of your plant is a bad idea, but let's see if we can get, I don't think so. So we'll just pull this off and have us a little look. Okay, look how beautiful that thing's doing. It's getting plenty of light because, you can see, like, it's a white bucket. It's pretty clear. It's pretty opaque. It's hard to get the camera to show it, but I can see light. I can see the outside label of the bucket. So for something like a lettuce that doesn't need a ton of light, this is a totally viable option, especially here early in the spring. All right, so there you go. If you are getting ready to plant your stuff outside early in your neck of the woods and you're worried that wind might be an issue, consider something like this to cover up your plants. It really doesn't take much, just anything to give them a little bit of protection from the wind. Like, we've had wind warnings all last week that were pushing, I think the wind was 35 miles an hour with gusts up to 50. So, these things were getting whipped around if they didn't have that little bit of protection. But it's amazing, as you can see from the video, that little bit of protection offered by just those simple metal collars, a simple bucket, a simple clear tote, or anything that gives them that protection from the wind. That's all for this, guys. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Maybe subscribe if you haven't joined us here already. We'll be sharing all kinds of fun stuff going on here in the garden and the homestead. Because, we just like doing these things and helping you figure out that life's a little bit better when it's lived outdoors. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.